First of all, thanks for coming. I know you have a lot of selection out there. There's a ton of places you can be right now, so I do appreciate you being here. I took a little survey earlier, but we kind of got a few more folks in the room. What I want to say is the subject matter that we have is going to be applicable no matter if it's you and you alone are the only employee, if you're the head salesman, the general manager, the lot boy, and the transporter. It's still applicable if you have a large company with 1,000 or more employees. We have to take a little bit higher view of everything. One thing I do want to talk about is, did anybody go to the luncheon yesterday, the dealer luncheon? The round table where they said, who's the most expendable in the room in your dealership? Yeah, that one. That was a little uncomfortable for me. But the one thing that he said was this is about you guys. And the real experts in the room, that would be you guys. You do it every single day. So I like to do these things as a little more interactive. As you notice, I'm not up on the stage. I don't do a podium. I don't like to do a podium. I like to be down here with you guys, asking the questions. And what I really like to have, I don't have all the answers, but you know who does? You guys do, because you do it every single day. So my hope is this for you guys. After we're done with our 45, 50 minutes of talking and going back and forth, my hope is you take one thing, whatever that might be, that you learned here in this room today, whether you learned it from me, you learned it from your peers, wherever you learned it from in this room, take it back and be able to sell more cars and make more money. Just one thing, that's all I'm asking. And if you take two things away and you're able to sell more cars and make even more money, that makes me even happier. Good to go? All right, with that said, let's jump in right away. So my name's Doug Haddon. I got a super long title, Executive Director, Dealer Consulting Services for Odessa Auto Auctions, Inc. I'm not necessarily an auction guy. Like I said, I started as a lot boy at a Ford store in Louisville, Kentucky. I've run multiple new car franchises, and the one thing that makes me a little bit different, I think, than most of the speakers that you hear from big companies is I had 2 used car lots in Southern California. I was a member of the association in California. I've been there, done that. I know the good, the bad, and the ugly of owning your own used car lot. I know the good of being the guy, right, or the gal. I'm the owner. I'm the dealer. I'm feeling pretty good about being a self-employed small business owner. The bad, well, that's all the work that you have to do all the time because you are the owner. It is your money. You got to work hard to protect that money. You got to work hard to make a profit. You got to take care of kind of everybody else first and then take care of yourself. And then the ugly is at the end of the month when you've paid all the bills, you've paid all your vendors. Wow. You've paid all your vendors, you've paid all your employees, you've paid your taxes, you've paid your flooring, and then there's nothing left. You still work just as hard, maybe harder this month, but there wasn't anything left. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, I know it. I've been there. I've done that. I've had to make that decision on selling that car on Saturday and having to pay off my AFC on Monday and how much I can use that money until then, right? It's tough. So I'm glad you guys are here. With that said, let's jump in. Time to line versus time to market. We'll talk about that first. There seems to be a little confusion there. We'll clear that up and give you some tips. Why are we even having this conversation? We'll talk about that a little bit. And we'll talk about the cost of time. We'll look at it maybe some ways you haven't looked at yet. And then we're going to talk about you do it. We're talking about recon, talking about pushing that car to the front line, getting it from the auction or the trade-in and getting it to the front line. Who's going to do that? You do it with sublet. We already had a little conversation earlier about sublet, those darn mechanics. And then we're going to talk about software. I'm very software agnostic. I used some software when I had my stores. I've seen some others. I love what I do because I get to come out to see you guys, spend some time in your stores and see how you do things. So we'll talk a little bit about it and how it can help you. So time to line, time to market. Do you guys know what the difference is? Somebody help me out. What's time to market? Time to market. Said? Listed online. What was it? Yeah, listed online. That's exactly right. See, time to market and time to line kind of used to be the same exact thing. I mean, you get the car and you get it detailed as fast as you can, you get that baby shoved up to the front line because that's the first time
typically a walk-in is going to see it, because that's all we used to kind of have is drive-bys and walk-ins. That was before we had that interweb, and our customers got smarter than us and know more about the vehicles than we do, right? So that's time to market is a digital process, listing vehicles at the time. How many people buy a car and within an hour it's listed online? Within 10 minutes, 10 seconds it's listed online. Have you ever done that? No? Okay, let's talk about that for then. We're going to take a second, because this could be the one thing. So I don't know. I can only speak about my company. I know we do a thing that our sellers will say, "Hey, I want the digital package on my cars that I'm selling." So car goes through recon, gets cleaned up, gets detailed, goes in this big booth thing, and it's pretty amazing to watch. There's all these cameras, and it looks like lightning inside this booth, and then the car comes out. But what comes out of that lightning is like 100 high-resolution digital photos. What's the difference between a high-resolution photo and a non-high-resolution photo? Anybody know? What is it? The cost. Yes, that is true. What's the difference that your consumer, your shopper sees? The attention to detail. So what happens is, on most websites, AutoTrader, Cars.com, all that stuff, Car Gurus, when somebody looks at a vehicle, and this includes our wholesale website at ADESA.com, when you look at a vehicle, if it's high resolution, you can zoom in, and it doesn't get fuzzy. It gets fuzzy for like a second, and then it gets sharp again. So if you see that scratch or dent, if you're trying to buy a car and you see that scratch or dent, you can zoom in, open it up, and it'll get crystal clear, so you can really tell, is that a true dent? Is that a PDR? Did it break the surface? Is it just clear coat? Am I down to the primer? Do I have to paint it? That kind of thing. That's the difference between a high resolution and a regular photo. When you're retailing cars, what do you want? High resolution. That's what that's what the consumer wants, is high resolution. So we have a package that the sellers will say, "I want high resolution photos." So you buy a car at the auction, and you fill out, you're waiting for your gate, you hit a button, and you can have all those photos uploaded to your website, to your, whoever you distributes to all the websites. If you do Cars.com, wherever you go, you can literally have not taken delivery of that vehicle out of auction, and you've already got the car posted online. Think about that. You don't have the car still sitting at the auction. It's not posted. People are looking at it. You might get back to the store, and the phone might be ringing, the internet might be blowing up, going, "Hey, I want that car." Now, let me give you the big disclosure, cautionary rules and regulations. So my stores were in, my 2 used car lots were in Southern California. If you even think about trying to market a vehicle before you have title and smog, it's something you don't want to. You don't want the DMV guys in Southern California coming on your lot, because they have handcuffs and guns. I don't know about your state, but those guys were not very nice people. Maybe when they weren't at work, they were nice people, but man, when they were working, they carried guns and handcuffs. And if you didn't have that smog cert, you didn't have the inspection, and you didn't have the title, you were not allowed to show that car to the public. Now, so I went out and I paid some money to an attorney. I said, "Hey, here's the law. Here's what I want to do. How's that work?" And so he came up with, I would take the photos, and across a banner going across that photo, it would say, "Coming soon." And in the bottom disclosure, it would say, "This vehicle does not conform to current California." What are you guys laughing? You do the same thing? Do you do it? Or you just bypass all that and you just posted it anyway? No, I don't know. So you get the disclaimer in there, and what you're doing is you're building. You ever go looking at a new house project, and they don't even really have any up yet? They might have a model, and you walk in, and of course the sales lady's just hammering you for all the information she can, and she goes, "Do you want to be put on our interest list?" So now you've got the car's not even out of the auction yet. You've posted the pictures, you have your template that says, "Coming soon." Do you want to be added, all your disclaimers, and then click here, link, to be added to the interest list. Again, the vehicle has not left the auction. You get back to your store and you're already getting leads. Does that make sense? Has anybody ever done that? Have you done it? How's that work? Tell me about it.
Phenomenal.
How's that?
And then they feel special when they can see it first.
That's it. That's the key. Be first. If you want to be first to see this vehicle, be added to our industry list. Click here. Well, heck yeah, I want to be the first. Everybody wants to be the first, right? Hey, Mr. Jones, how you doing? Yeah, this is Doug. Thanks so much for being put on our interest list. Hey, we've already got a bunch of folks on there. You're one of the first. I just want to touch base with you. Vehicle's in transport now. I'll have that thing inspected. We're doing a 128-point inspection. I mean, you have that 15-minute conversation. The car hasn't even left the auction yet. And you're building a relationship with that customer, making him excited or her excited about going and looking at that vehicle. How soon can I come down to see it? Then they're starting to call you, and you're getting texts from them. Is it ready yet? Yes, sir.
I've tried that, and it's blown up in my face. I think the caveat, I'm curious about the type of cars you're buying. But if you're buying the 5 to 10 grand cars that I do, and I have put them through recon, I've had the customers who are excited, they want to come out of the car. And I haven't even done the drive test on it. It's blown up where they come and they go, wait, did you advertise the car's not ready yet? So I'm just curious. I love what you're saying, but I'm curious if you're buying green light cars that are $20,000 cars, and they're all recon, they're detailed, and they're all that, I 1,000% buy it. But if you're buying the 5 to 10 grand cars that have the tops, they're not detailed, I bet customers go, that's not right.
That's a piece of crap. Why'd you have me come down and look at that? Right? Okay, so what do?
You have to set expectations in advance, and it's like an exclusive experience for them. And you're helping them, and they get to buy from you. It's not, you're not just on another shop.
I think it's the first thing you said is absolutely it. It's setting that expectation level. I'll keep going. Yes.
So this is what we do. We're averaging in about $40,000. So we're a high-line store. What we do is we'll bring the cars in. I buy ICR cars. We'll bring them in. We still have to do the conditioning. Our clientele would be furious if they drove, because sometimes they'll just drive to surprise you because they don't want a car warmed up and knowing that you're coming. So they've been furious. We've got 2-3 hours. The car hasn't even arrived from the auction yet, or it's at the body shop to get the fault responded, or it's at detail, and they blow up and get bad reviews and everything. So what we do is the cars show up, they come off the truck, my service advisor or my service manager drives each car and makes a list. If it's good to where it doesn't need to go to the body shop and it doesn't have any major mechanically wrong with it, he pulls it into detail. I have a wash-up guy that does a quick cleanup, takes all the stickers off it, pulls it up front, left tire comes out, takes 4 pictures of the car, puts it online, it's coming soon. This car is going through our
128-point inspection process. Yeah.
and that's what we do. Because the other way, you can have a car arrive, and then you also have an arbitration problem, and then that car, you got customers that, they think that you're doing the car dealer thing.
Right.
You're trying to bait and switch. And you got to be careful with how you
Yep.
do that too.
It's all about setting expectations. You have to set that expectation. You wanted 2 things. You got to get them excited, but you got to keep them reeled in. But I used to, because of the California regulations, when I'm on the phone getting them all pumped up, I say, no, Mr. Jones, listen. I know you're super excited. I am too, because I think it's going to be the perfect car for you and your family. But here's what you got to help me out with. It's illegal for me to actually show you this car. So when you do that super surprise thing tomorrow, Saturday morning at 9 o'clock when I'm unbolting the gate and you show up to look at it, I can't show it to you. It's just, in fact, it's not even here. I got it over at the recon shop. So you got to set that expectation level. Because, that's what's going to happen. They're going to come down and they're going to say, what a piece of junk, you liar, good for nothing. You're just a stinking used car salesman. That's all you are. You're not much better than a really bad accident lawyer. I don't know where that level actually goes, but that's all about that expectation level. And you can do from it, you still get the same heat, whether it's a $5,000 car or a $40,000 car, you're going to get the same heat, right? Yes, sir? And by the way, I love you guys sharing already. This is awesome. You guys are best.
What I'm doing is, I don't put it on my website, I just put it on my Facebook business page if I don't have it yet, and I explain everything on there. And I'm getting all kinds of leads, and some of those people that are watching that page is the local community and things, they're telling their friends and everything. But it is not on my website though yet. But I'm taking those pictures. But one other thing I have with the pictures is,
So that was my next thing, was talking about how to put it on Facebook, but that's over with. So we just gained 10 minutes.
But one of the things about the pictures, I've got a crowd
I'm okay with the Odessa tags.
Yeah. You know what I mean about the
All right.
other ships they put there?
Yeah.
They want-
Yeah, you got to, if somebody already said it, strip it, you know, take the razor blade out.
I problem though on the pictures I'm taking from Odessa side or whatever I need to do, but that's how I'm doing it.
Yeah, no, the Facebook thing, guys, does everybody understand how to work Facebook yet? Man, because if you don't, you are missing out on a bunch of sales. I'm sure there's somebody on the show floor, there's a company or two that can help you do that. I mean, that's huge. Fortunately for me, I got out of the retail side of it before Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all those other things hit. But I tell you what, if I still had my stores today, I would be an expert at that stuff, because that's what's going to make you the money. If you're not, that's where everybody is. I spoke at the Alabama Auto Dealers Association. Anybody from Alabama? You guys remember me last year at your convention? Did you guys go to your convention last year? I just saw the president walk down the hall. Let me get your name. I'm going to tell him you didn't go last year. So I was a keynote speaker there, and some of the stats I was talking about, social media. The average person with a cell phone checks whatever social media sites that they frequent a minimum of every 12 minutes. A minimum of every 12. If you're not on it, you're missing out. So figure all that stuff out. Okay, we're totally sidetracked, but that's good stuff. Anything else on the interest list?
Question.
Yes, sir.
How can you download the pictures from Odessa site?
Once you buy the car, you can go on in your handheld, or you can go online. I want to buy the photo package. Click, boom, and it
Oh, you
downloads.
gotta buy it from
Yeah.
from Odessa.
Well, you know, the seller,
It's on the checkout screen, it's just a little.
Okay.
where the transportation, the payment, all that.
Okay.
Click that.
All right.
And there's a lot of different packages now. I think there used to be one package that was like, I don't know what it was like, 100. Yeah. And you can get different packages. Anything else?
Well, on that, what you can do is on the CR, buy a car, desktop, wherever it is, just go on your desktop, right click, say image, and
Not,
say go on your desktop.
yeah, that's what I used to do. Honestly, that's what I used to do. But you know what the difference is? High resolution. But I don't think for this interest list, I wouldn't do high resolution. In fact, I'd find the fuzziest picture of that car I could possibly find and post that coming soon.
If they haven't been through recon the exterior wise, you don't really need that.
No, you want low resolution. You want no, I guess there's not such thing as no resolution, because then it'd be a blank picture. But yeah, low resolution for that interest list is the best, unless you've already got it detailed on the way out the door. We'll talk about that some more. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Again, thank you guys for being interactive. It helps me a lot. Time to line is a physical process. It's three things. It's got to be trackable, flexible, and consistent. And you know what? Trackable, flexible, and consistent seem to be a little bit in conflict with each other. Let's walk through that for a second. If you ever had a book sheet, a bunch of letters and numbers, a banner or two in your hand, and walked out on the lot and go, where is that F-150? Anybody ever have? I mean, I did it like every day almost. So that's what I'm talking about, trackable. Knowing where that vehicle is at all times. And, we'll talk about it some more, but it doesn't matter how you do it. It's just do it the most efficient way you can that you can afford. It doesn't matter if it's a yellow tablet, a calendar, a whiteboard, a spreadsheet, whatever it is. You got to know where those cars are at all times. So it's got to be trackable. What do I mean by flexible? So you got a car that you're picking up at the sale, and you got to get it to detail, and you're calling them on the way. Hey, Dan Detail, I'm on my way. I'm bringing the car. I'm going to pick up the Malibu. Oh, dude, Doug, I'm so sorry. One of my guys didn't show up today. One of the other guys took the buffer home with him because he was doing a side job, and so I'm down a guy. I'm down a buffer. So you got to be flexible, right? So now maybe you got to zing that thing over and get tires. Maybe you got to take it and get the smog cert or get the state inspection or whatever it is you got. But you got to be flexible. But that's why you got to track it. Be trackable. Even though you're being consistent with, here's the things I do, here's my process that I've decided is the best process for me to get my vehicles to the front line faster, you got to be flexible. You got to be able to change that up as time goes. All right, why are we doing this? This is what you guys and gals told us or told NIADA last year. 83% of the vehicles you sell are auction purchases. Does that sound about right? Somewhat, give or take? Now, I'm going to give you another tip. Now, I work for an auction company. I shouldn't be saying these kinds of things. Who has a We Buy Cars sign out front? Man, if you didn't raise your hand, please, go buy a sign, We Buy Cars. What if you only get 2 cars a month from somebody that's moving out of town and wants to sell their car today, right now for cash, and you get to buy the thing, it's brand new, and you get to buy it for $2,500 back? Why would you not spend $100 for a sign that says We Buy Cars? Yes, sir.
I pay my salesmen to buy cars.
Right? Well, they should all be buyers.
I pay them $100, like if it's $100 mini, if they sell them, I pay them $100 to buy them, and the unit count goes towards their bonuses. I'm buying them whether you're buying or selling.
Anybody else do that?
Keeps them on Facebook, keeps them pushing the customers, keeps them everywhere.
Oh, I'm just buzzing here. I get so excited about this stuff. What he just said, it keeps his salespeople on Facebook. You know, what is a salesman's real job? What is really a salesman's job? To tell everybody he or she knows that sells cars at your store. And what's your job? To tell everybody you know that you sell cars, you have the best cars in the world to sell. And where is the best place in the world to do that? Social media. So now you're telling everybody on your social media that you're the best place ever in the world. So now you have your salespeople telling everybody the best place. And let's just say how many followers you have on Facebook, not on personal.
17,000. Oh, on personal.
Personal. Who knows how many followers they have on Facebook personal? Yes, sir. 700. How many? 1,800. That's personal. What if you have 5 salespeople? What if you have 10 salespeople and they all have 1,800 followers? How many of those 1,800 followers? Please, do any of those 1,800 followers ever need to buy a car? Yeah. Is there anybody that doesn't ever need to buy a car? Pretty much just wants to, like me, when I get my license taken away, I guess I won't be able to buy a car. Or they aren't old enough to buy a car. Those are the only 2 groups that don't need to buy a car. It's just where they're going to buy it. And the more people know that you sell the best cars in the world, the more chance you got of it being you. And when you have your salespeople on Facebook talking about buying and selling cars, man, how much does it cost you to buy a car? Does anybody even know? Look at this. So 83% are auction purchases. 52% of those cars are 6 to 10 years old. Sounds like to me they're going to need some recon, right? 60% of the cars you sell have a selling price between $5,000. That reinforces the fact that they're probably going to need a little bit of recon. 23% of you, which was low, that's low compared to what, let's do that again. How many of you guys have a service department? Raise your hands. Yeah, see, that's way more than 23%. Did you guys lie on the survey when we sent it out to you? Is that what happened? I don't know where that is. But 64% have 1 to 4 employees. I think that's a little high compared to what we saw here earlier today. But here's the thing. 66% have less than 2,500 square feet. 46% 1 to 4 auctions a week. If you don't have any room, you're never there because you're at the auction, you don't have anybody to help you, and you're buying cars that need recon, this whole thing's looking bad. But what if you're not going to the auction as much? Again, the auction pays me. But what if you're not going to the auction as much? How do you have your salespeople have the miracle of social media go to work for you and save some dough? Does that make sense? Okay, now here's all the reasons why we have to do this. I'm going to have a little bit. Has anybody ever looked at profit per day? Has anybody ever looked at that? You sell a car and you say, hey man, made a 4-pounder today. I'm feeling pretty good about myself and my selling skills. Do you really know how much money you made though? Out of that 4,000? When you go back to your stores, I want you to take a look at something. I dug into some DMSs. I got some buddies. I dug into their DMSs. I kind of averaged all this stuff out. But this is DMS information. And I wiped out the F&I because time and F&I are not the only The only thing you can tell about F&I profitability is how good you are when you're writing a contract and selling products, right? So I kind of averaged that at $1,000. So here's what it looks like. The first is a 20-day. I bought this car and I sold it in 20 days. I had a $2,000 front end, a $1,000 back end, so $3,000 profit. That was in 20 days. I made $150. That vehicle, that product that I sell, that made me 20, between, just to see it simple, take the 3,000 divided by 20, that's $150 a day. Does anybody in here know their holding costs? I guess we could do this one more time. Raise your hand if you know your holding costs. Wow. Okay, guys. Okay. First, we buy car sign. Second, figure out your holding costs. What's holding costs? Anybody know? It's everything. What's it cost for that car to sit there every day? You know what the average is? Yeah, 40, 45. That's it. The average is $40 for you guys, according to the survey. Unless you guys were packing the survey again, it's about $40 to $45 a day. So even though I'm pumped because I made $150 a day every day that car sat there, did I really make 100? No, because you got insurance, you got electric bill. Because you can't get the lot boy to turn those big fans off in the shed, right? So they're constantly grinding all day and all night long. You really need to work on the window seals and stuff around the dealership because all that AC is just leaking out the door. Now, granted, I was that guy that I always had both front doors open. I didn't care how hot it was or how cold it was. I ran the heat and the AC because I want my front doors open. That was an expense I was willing to bear because I don't want anybody to have to push a door open to walk in my store ever. But that's part of my holding costs. So really, I'm going to call it $100. And I'm still pretty much okay with that. In 20 days, that's a pretty good return on my investment. Now here's this car. It was 68 days old. And obviously, there's a dip as that car gets older, right? It's fact. I did 1 million wholesale transactions and just under 1 million retail transactions a few years back out of my friend's DMS system that he runs. And it's just math. You can say, hey, I make money on every single car no matter how long I keep it, but you do the math on 1 million transactions and wholesale, 1 million retail, you don't make as much. The longer the car stays, the less money you make, and that's just math. So in this case, it's $22 a day because that car sat there for 68 days. What's holding cost? Did I make any money on this car, really? That's a loser. Now, how many of you guys have ever said these words, guys and gals? How many of you said, there's a butt for every seat, and I'll keep that car as long as it takes to make money on it? Yeah, we've all said it. So here's the deal. I challenged a bunch of guys one time. I said, okay, show it to me. I made $3,000 on a car that was 90 days old. That's $44 a day in profit. I mean, a 3-pounder, 4-pounder on a 90-day unit, and I'm in. $44 a day. What's holding cost? Did I make any money, really? I think really what I did was I got to brag about the fact that I sold a 90-day-old car and I made a $4,000 profit, but I really didn't make any money. I'm not going to tell anybody about the part where I really didn't make any money. I'm only going to talk about the 4-pounder that I made on the 90-day-old car, right? And guys, I've been out there. My title is consulting, dealer consulting dude. I've seen some, man. I mean, when cars are having multiple birthdays, that's just a bad thing. And none of that even counts. How many times did you have to re-detail that car that's been sitting there for 4 months, 5 months? How many times you had to take the lot boys 15, 20 minutes to go get it off the front line, put air in the tires, charge the back? I mean, it goes on and on and on. Right? Okay. So time is expensive. So let's talk about it now. Are you going to do it? Yes, sir. Thank you for the auction fees. I appreciate that.
You pay, got front floor plan, you pay to ship it home, you got it home, you detailed it, you serviced it, you sprayed the bumper, you PDR'd it, you touched it up, you spent $600 on brakes, whatever, I don't know. Car sits out there. Every auction, or every autos and every auction reps and everything idea is, hey, 60 days, that thing goes back to the auction. Now think about how how much you just lost on that car. Considering I understand the offset and the holding cost, but that vehicle's already there. That car is already recopied. Even if you hold it for another week or two and you even break out of it, it's better than a 3 or 4 day loss.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do the math, right, on every single unit. I look at it, especially if you have a service department that has customer pay repair orders. I'm going to say, okay, yeah, I lost $40 a day on that car, but I got a customer in the service drive. And if you're really good at it, you'll get them back in the service drive. Whether you have the free first oil change, whatever it is, to meet your service writer, that's probably the nicest person in the world, makes that relationship with that customer, makes it work. So yeah, you got to do everything you can to keep that customer, keep it here, and not take that beating. But you got to do the math, right? Does it work for you or not? If I've got a service department, I'm going to do everything I can to sell that car to keep the customer. If I don't, then I might need that money, so I'm going to take a $4,000 hammer and just take the haircut and move on. But I'm going to take that money, I'm going to buy another car. Hopefully I can recoup that, right? That's what we do. Guys, this is such a simple business. All we got to do is buy the cars for less than we sell them for. Why we got to have 1,000 people here talking about how to sell a car today? There's a lot of stuff that gets in the way that buy low, sell high, right? Okay, so let's talk about getting this done. For the longest time, when I first opened my first store, I'd worked for Bank of America for about 5-6 years as vice president of remarketing. I had a lot of customers, and I went to a lot of stores, and I figured I had a plan. I can do this all myself. Phew, it looked a lot easier than it was when I started out getting a dealer's license and going to AFC and begging them for a floor plan and then finding out how much floor planning really costs and all that stuff. But I tried it because I was good. I could still today, again, starting as that lot boy at a Ford store in Louisville, Kentucky, I worked my way up. I could pull an automatic transmission apart on an 82 Ford, I don't know if I could do one today because there's too many dang computer parts in them. We didn't have computer parts in '82. But I could go out. I pulled the heads off my son's 2001 180,000-mile F-150 last weekend. We pulled the heads off. I sent it out. I had them shaved, put new guides in, had it ground down, and put it back together. And the darn thing runs. Actually better than it did before, so I'm pretty happy about that. But what are you good at? Do you want to spend that time? Whatever it is, it needs an EGR valve. You know how to switch out an EGR valve. You just want, the air filter's completely plugged up. You're going to go to AutoZone, grab an air filter, put it in there. Are you really good at it? But the thing is, even if you are, how long is it going to take you? And what could you be doing in that time? What could you be doing in that time? And what's that look like to your customers? If you're back there doing something, even washing a car, right? But if you're back there like actually trying to change a tire out or do something that's kind of greasy and dirty, and the customer walks around the corner, hi, can I help you? And you put, you got dirty hands. That's not there. They're not there for that, right? They're thinking, wait a minute, this guy's working on a car. Or even if you have a mechanic and they walk around back and it's kind of dirty, greasy. Just clean everything up. But what are you good at? What's it look like to your customer, and can you grow? I know there's not a lot of you in here. I'm trying to keep the group together so there's not very few of you single operators. But if you're a single operator, think about what it looks like to your customer. Think about the other things you can be doing. What is your time truly worth, and what are you good at? All right, let's talk about sublet. Local or independent repair shops. Does anybody, even if you have a shop, does anybody have a deal with any of the Pep Boys or any of that? Anybody have that deal? Because there's a couple of big, Firestone has that deal, Goodyear has that. Everybody has a fleet deal, and they love. I can't believe we don't have more vendors out here talking about that. Because I hooked up with this Firestone guy. They're all franchises, most of them now. And I said, hey, you're literally next door. How would you like to be I didn't have a service department. I go, how would you like to be my service department? And he goes, well, let's figure this out. So we sat down, we made a relationship, and it was fantastic. Did a deal. I really liked the guy. But he had a great combination because I considered him my local guy, but he was also a national chain. What's the bonus of a national chain? They're warranties. So you're an independent operator. you're having the local Firestone guy do your work, and your customer now has a nationwide warranty. You sell that, that station wagon or that SUV, and your customer throws the family in it, and they head out of state, and they have a problem with the car, pull into Pep Boys or whatever it was that you made your deal with, and how's that make you look to the customer? Hey, Mr. Jones, I'm sorry you're having a problem here. Let me look online. Okay, there's a Firestone about 4.3 miles. Let me give them a call. Tell them you got the warranty. If we need to get it towed, we'll get that thing. I mean, boom. What are they going to tell? What are they going to say on Facebook? Hey, we're on vacation. Car broke down. Called the dealer. He got it handled. We're back on the road. Doesn't get better than that. Thousands of locations. How about the auctions? Anybody have the auctions do? All auctions, not just us. All auctions do it. Anybody have the auctions do your recon? We got a lot of especially single operators doing it now. We've always had a lot of small and medium to large groups do it. Literally, we do, it depends on the state. Some states we could do the state inspection. Our techs are certified to do state inspections. But, I mean, it's all in one place. You don't touch the car. You buy the car. Here's what I want done. Call me if it needs anything else. And then you go pick up the car in a day or two, and it's done. It's detailed, it's certified, it's whatever you want it done. It's tires, it's glass. All auctions, I think, I don't know about independents so much, but I know all the major auctions, we can do anything and everything. During the Toyota, throttle recall problem with the floor mats and all that stuff, I mean, we had certified Toyota techs that could do, pretty much every auction could do just about everything. Nobody uses that yet? How many guys actually have tried that?
I've tried it, but I ran into problems where the quality just wasn't there. We get the car back from either a different shop or from an auction repairs facility, and we pull it in our shop and they miss things, or they just wouldn't paint the brakes, or whatever it is, and then we have to start looking anyway, so we stop because what's going to be paying that and they're still doing it again.
And I think, I know you're a Highline shop. We've had conversations before. I know you're a Highline shop, and it's that is so. Even though, and I'm not speaking of just our auction, I'm speaking of all major auctions. We all have certified techs, but when you got a BMW or a Mercedes up in the air, that you're always best off with. Especially if it's a late model car, you're best off taking it there to get that done, or do it yourself if you have those certified techs. Somebody else raise their hand? Yes, sir.
I've done it with the independent auction in the market, and the quality of service was terrible. And the comebacks were just so ridiculous, we stopped using them. So what did we try it? And I know the big auctions do it. We've used them for things like, we noticed that this thing helped do some paintwork. So stuff like that, independence that we use. It's just not there.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else do it?
One of the tips that I'd like to hand out.
Joe, you've been in all my sessions a lot, so you're welcome to give a tip anytime.
Local independent repair shop, relationships and deals. If you, I'm in the Chicago market, so I have a mechanic on every street corner, and identify which people are really good with Mercedes and Range Rovers and Sprinters. Go to the Polish, go to the Bulgarians. They'll handle it. They'll take the Mercedes. But what I'm saying is, we've established relations with Ford dealers, but the mechanics. So we've gone in and said, hey, we know we work with the Ford dealer. You do some work on the side, and they love it. We had 4 Ford Escapes come in that had turbo actuators that were bad. The Ford mechanic came to our store and did every single one of them for $150. If I was
Boom, 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 done.
done,
Yeah.
it was done in a row. So just build relationships.
So Joe, that's the key. Obviously, a Chicago guy, you could tell, but it doesn't matter what city, what state. It's all about relationships. The independent auction that screwed up your cars, I'll go to the GM. Hey, man, I'm buying cars here. I'm trying to give you money for recon, and you guys are handing me back junk. I really want this to work. What can we do? Build a relationship. It's funny. I spoke at TIADA. Anybody from Texas? Anybody from Texas? 2 years ago, it was a panel, and it was called The Joys of Auction Arbitration. I don't even want to be on that panel. But one guy stood up. It was really weird. He stood up and he was complaining about. So I told the guy that's what they call the guy that's in charge of the panel moderator. I said, dude, you better be careful because this thing can be out of hand real fast. And he goes, oh, I got this. And the first person said, I bought a car last month at. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And sure enough, it was downhill. And it was my question. It came my turn. This guy goes, hey, I forget what the actual question was, but my response to him was, why don't you build a relationship with the folks at the auction? And he stands up and goes, I don't need to build a relationship. It's their job to get stuff handled. He storms out. And everybody in the room goes, well, that guy's never going to make it. Right? It's all about relationship, right? That independent auction, the guys that want to do the side jobs, I'm okay with that. Relationship, relationship, relationship. Okay. Let's talk about software, and I'll get through this. Who uses software now? That's probably the best way to even go through it. I don't even want to go through this. What kind of software do you guys use? Do you like it? Yes, or you like the software that you use? Raise your hand. What software is it? What do you use? All data? Okay, that's more of a repair? How about a recon? Like something that tracks recon. Who uses a true recon? Rapid recon. Do you like it? What do you like about it?
Just like you were saying earlier, it does all the tracking for you as far as what step the car's in. And with the alerts, let alert the next guy that's in the step. You can use it for the subcontractors as well. For the subs, where you know the car's in the sub knows it's there. They know there's a clock on it. And then it's actual, when you scan it, we use the QR code. But you put a QR code and you scan it, it actually posts that location, like down to this parking spot. So it's very, very easy to track and keep people accountable.
It's some of the stuff that's the capabilities of these systems, they're all similar in one way or another. How much you pay for Rapid Recon?
It's not cheap. It's $500 a month.
Okay, $500 a month, and I ask you that question for a reason. We talked about the value of that time, profit per day. If that software that helps you track your reconditioning improves, so $500, we were talking about it's $45, call it $50. So if it's 10 vehicles are faster, 10 days faster. If one vehicle is 10 days faster to the front line, you've paid that $500, right? I mean, everybody that comes into the store always tries to sell us, hey, you only got to sell one more car to buy this great product. You only got to sell 2 cars more a month to buy. Well, shoot, the first 50 cars I sell this month is just paying for all my stuff I bought, all my software that I'm buying to be more profitable. The only people that are being profitable are the software guys that I'm paying. But that one I think is probably the number. Anybody else? Rapid Recon? How about, does anybody do Simple Recon? I haven't had anybody do that one yet. It looks pretty cool online. How about AMT Recon? Recon Pro? Doug, you guys use that? You like it? Yeah, I think that I've seen guys use that. Remember I said it's got to be trackable. Your process, man, that's all these systems. You know exactly where your car is. It holds, even if it's your own shop, and it's the tire guy or the heavy line guy or the touch up guy, the detail, whoever it is that's being responsible is responsible because you know exactly where that car is and how long they're doing it. Some of these even have, I don't know which one has like a timer that says, it's going to Dougie Detail, and you've got an hour and 45 minutes it should take to get this car done, and if it goes past that hour and 45, everybody in the place gets an alert. Dougie ain't done with that detail yet, and it's been an hour and 45 minutes. You think Dougie's going to step up to the pump a little bit and get that thing going? Because everybody else in the store is going to know that Dougie's not doing his job. Is peer pressure a good thing? I think used correctly, I think it can be. You don't want to hit it too hard, but it's kind of and I've seen guys that make contests out of it. They pay bonuses on it. Right? So if you got an hour and 45 minutes to get that thing done, and you get it done in an hour and a half, and you've done that all month, your average is 26 minutes below what it should be, guess what? That person gets a bonus, or that person gets a recognition. That's the other thing I talk about. A lot of you guys have more than just a single operator. How often do you recognize people, non-sales people, that do a good job? How often do you recognize them in front of everybody else? Recognition goes a long way. And how much does recognition and thank you in front of the entire group, how much does that cost you? A card. A handwritten card.
Since your church showed the average people in this, just like 1 to 4 employees, I'm just curious. When you've got 1 to 4 employees, basically you're the guy doing it. So do you recommend that small businesses?
So here's the other thing these do. So if you are that single guy and you've made the decision that you're best used to sell cars and not work on them as much, that all the vendors can be loaded in there. Most of these, if not all of them, I don't have personal experience with all of them, but I do have a few. Most of these are cloud-based. So any vendor that you use, they may not even have a computer to print out invoices, but they have a cell phone, they have a smartphone, and that's all they need. You set them up, they hit a button, they get a text, they're all set up and ready to go. So they can tell you, hey, it's done, come get it. They can say, hey, I found more problems. Again, it's trackable. You know exactly where your vehicles are. And so I guess the short answer would be, if you're a single operator, I would more than suggest doing something like this, because it gives you more control. You won't walk out on the lot with your letters and numbers and your window stickers and your book sheet and going, where's that car? You'll know exactly where all 10 of the vehicles you own, or 8 of the vehicles, you know exactly where they are and what status. Let me show, vendor integration, delay alerts, all the reporting, cloud-based, and they all seem to be able to set up exactly how you want it for your 10-car lot or your 100-car lot. They do. Some of them charge. I was looking at one the other day. It's like 0 to 10 cars is so much. So it was like started like $50 or something.
We run a lot of cars through. But if you ran less cars, you're not going to price.
And it's simple stuff. A lot of these are very simple graphics, and it's basically, hey, here's the things that need to be done, and when it happens, it's checked off the list, and you get a dashboard, and you know exactly where you're at with every single car you own. And majority of them are push-pull through just about anything. They can take a feed from vAuto AAX. They can integrate with your DMS. Just about any kind of an API, these guys handle. So you're not constantly having to re-input the VIN. How many people like to put the same VIN on a computer 25 times to sell a car? Yeah, nobody wants to do that. These are all, and plus they all have scanners. So some guys use these they don't have a DMS or they don't have IMS. Some guys actually use their recon control systems kind of as a pseudo DMS IMS, because it's got, like, even this one says take photos. It reminds you to do. You can set that up. These fields, take photos can be selected from 1,000 fields. You can have the 10 that you use, or the 20 that you use, or the 5 that you use. Boom. How's our timing? Are we pretty good? Okay, this is it. This is the last chance you have in this room today to ask a question. Make a statement. Yes, sir.
So who do you put in charge to ensure that this process goes through?
So how many employees do you have?
One of my dealerships has 25.
Okay. Who's got a 25-person store? Somewhere in 25. Who's in charge of the recon? Who do you make responsible? Service manager. I was listening to one of the guys that I forget which one it was, one of those companies. He originated the company. He said if you don't have a service manager, he said first of all make your service manager responsible because it's his darn job. First of all, but if you don't have a service manager, have somebody, even if it's a lot boy, have somebody in charge of it and ask them about it every hour until they figure out that they're going to ask them every hour, so they start telling you every hour. Make somebody, he called them a pusher, that they're pushing those cars through, and make them responsible. Does that help? Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
How do you suggest balancing recon work and customer warranty work, and not just outside service, but they drove off the lot a day later, something's wrong.
Comes back on the hook. Comes back on the hook with the transmission puking all over the service drive. That's my favorite day.
So what's the best way to be efficient in servicing your customers, but yet keep the recon?
So, and again, I can only tell you what I did and what I see. First and foremost is the current customer, whether that's the guy that's on the hook, puking in the service drive, or whether that's somebody their car's already, they're back for their regular, or even if they're back for their first free oil change. Man, the recon comes second to that. Does that answer the question? The first is that guy in the service drive. The puker in the service drive is always your first priority. Get the car off the service drive because you don't want the other customer to see in the car he just bought puking transmission fluid. But always handle the heat first, take care of the customer that's currently there, then move to recon. Absolutely.
So how do you handle that? Because to be honest with you, I've been visiting 14 years, got 40 employees. This is my number one problem. This is the only thing that stops me from going forward. We're so busy. I got 6 technicians. We're so busy in our service shop between my cars that we buy for recon that we can barely get those done. The customer work that comes in, we haven't even advertised. Just the word of mouth. And
Yeah.
the customers that we
Yeah.
have now already are giving us like 6 to 8 cars a day to work on, and we're getting to the point where we're 3 weeks behind on cars. Like a load of cars will come in, and I'm like, if it's something that needs control arm bushings and this and that, sometimes we'll sit back there for 2 weeks waiting for that car to get put to detail in the front.
Yeah. And we don't ever want a car to sit for 2 weeks, no matter what, right? So, yep.
What we've done, and we don't always stick to it, which is our problem, but
That consistent thing is a problem? Yeah, always is.
what we've done is we'll take 1 day a week and do not schedule any outside service. Now, if there's emergencies, of course, they come in, but make that dedicated to your requirements. Make yourself your customer for that day. Now, again, we don't always stick to it, it's worked.
Yeah, no. So here's at that point, you have to start thinking investment, right? You got cars sitting for 2 weeks, dude, what's that cost? So now you're thinking, okay, I have this cost. That's lost. That's money coming out of your pocket. What's it going to take? Bigger shop, different, so my answer, what I would do in your situation is I would go 4 miles away, 10 miles away. I'd find some really cheap commercial property. Warehouse, the cheapest per square foot warehouse that's secure that I could find. And I'd hire 1, 2, whatever the volume will bear. Well, that's the other problem.
I pay my tax $25 an hour plus bonuses, and in our city, I'm literally like we're in the suburb, like outside, like 45 minutes outside of Charlotte, and I literally pay my tax more than the master tax that Charlotte dealership is paying.
Yeah.
And I still cannot find technicians.
That's two things there. One is this darn good economy really makes it hard to hire good people. I hate that. Secondly, it always goes back to this relationship. Who should you have if you have a shop and you have more work than you can handle? Where and who should you have a relationship with?
We have a similar issue that guy has, but we farm them out and we actually pick up a commission from the other shops we send them to. So let's say we're overfilled, we're a week out. We have 2 shops down the street that'll split the gross with me. A portion of it, they mark up from 70 an hour to 110. I pick up 25 an hour just for referring.
Man,
And that's worked out really well.
that's a beautiful thing. Just make it,
Yeah, it's customer work, and I pick up some. No, it's not. That's only because
Right.
it's backed up with customer jobs.
I like it a lot. I love sharing profit when it's more profit than I had before. But that the relationship thing, I'll get to you, the relationship thing I'm talking about, anybody ever hear of UTI? Anybody ever UTI, any of those? There's UTI, there's 3 or 4 of them. I think NIADA even has some kind of a relationship with one of those as well, but you need to get that kid the second he graduates. You need to be there with your pickup truck with a trailer on it so you can roll that toolbox on it and take it to your shop.
That's worked out one time for me.
Yeah, that's the side you got to keep trying.
16 other times it never worked.
You got to keep trying though, man, because there's no good. The number one thing I heard at NADA last year is I can't find a technician to save my life. That's the next. You guys are. And train them. I've heard of guys that will pick guys up, those lube techs, like go to auto oil changers or whatever the place is. Hey, do you like doing this? Yeah, I love cars. Do you want to be a professional at this? Yes, I want to be a professional at this. All right, you're going to come to work for me. I'm going to pay you very little money, but I'm going to send you to UTI. And here's the contract that you're going to sign. I'm going to pay for a certain percentage of UTI, whatever your deal is that you work out, and you're going to return that by working for me for 5 years or whatever that happens to be, or you owe me all that money back. All kinds of stuff out there. Check with NIADA at the booth. I think they have some kind of setup with that. When you get back to your stores, call UTI. There's 4 or 5 of those. Also, anybody in the Indianapolis, Indiana area, there's a thing, gosh, I can't think of the name of it right now. So it's something that actually, Odessa, it's an outreach that we have. We sponsor a center. Basically, it's kids that are at risk, that are coming off drugs, or coming out of bad situations, they are coming out of being homeless. We have them trained up and become certified technicians, and it's changed these kids' lives, and they're dying to get a job. They're dying to show how good they are. I'm sure it's not the only one. I know there's one in Florida. JM Family has one in Florida. Do you know of one, Lynn? Okay. So look those up. There was somebody in the back that I missed a second ago. I want to get back to you. Yes, sir. Now, we're way over time, so you guys are, I just want to let you know, you're over time. You're free to leave. I love you, but we're over time. Yes, sir.